What if I told you that everything you experience, every success, every failure, every moment of joy or struggle, is nothing but a reflection of what you feel inside? Imagine unlocking the secret that turns your deepest desires into reality, not someday, but now. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover how your feelings hold the power to shape your entire life, and why mastering this one truth can change everything. Do you realize that your feelings are the seeds of creation? That every emotion you dwell in today becomes the world you will meet tomorrow? Life does not respond to what you wish for. It responds to what you feel real. You may hope for change, you may pray for better days, but until you feel the new state as though it were already true, nothing can move. Everything you now see around you is the solidified shadow of a feeling once entertained. You cannot escape your own inner state, for it will always project itself upon the screen of space. The world is your mirror, faithfully reflecting your inner assumptions. So if you desire something new, do not fight the outer world. Go within and feel the reality of your desire fulfilled. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are no longer a beggar asking for change. You are the creator declaring it done. Feel it deeply. Let your senses be flooded with the reality of your dream. Walk as though it were already yours. Think from the end, not of the end. Persist in that assumption until it feels natural, and soon your feeling will harden into fact. This is the law of life. What you feel you attract, what you imagine you become. The outer world is only echoing your inner vibration. So tonight, dare to feel differently. Feel abundance where lack was. Feel love where loneliness dwelt. Feel peace where fear once ruled. And watch as the invisible becomes visible. Feeling is the creative cause of all manifestation. Everything that appears in your world is born first in the invisible realm of feeling. Before any event, relationship, or circumstance can take form, it must be felt within the consciousness of the one experiencing it. You are not merely a thinker, you are a feeler, and the quality of your feeling determines the quality of your life. Thoughts are important, but thoughts alone are powerless unless they are charged with emotion. It is the feeling behind the thought that impresses the subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind, being the womb of creation, gives birth to that which is felt as true. When you feel a thing deeply, you unite yourself with it. Feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, the unseen and the seen. It is the language through which your inner world speaks to the outer world. You may affirm prosperity all day long, but if your feeling is one of lack and fear, you will continue to experience scarcity. The universe does not respond to words or wishes. It responds to vibration, and your vibration is nothing but the sum of your dominant feelings. Therefore, to change your world, you must first change the tone of your inner feeling. Feeling is the secret key that unlocks the creative power within you. When you assume a new state and feel it as though it were real, you plant the seed of that reality within consciousness. The feeling, once accepted, sinks into the subconscious mind, where it begins to shape your actions, attitudes, and even the circumstances that appear around you. This is why Neville Goddard said that imagination and feeling create reality. They work together as one. Imagination provides the image, feeling gives it life. Without feeling, imagination remains a shadow, a lifeless picture with no power to manifest. But once you clothe that image in emotion, once you feel it real, it takes root and begins to grow. Everything you have ever manifested came from a feeling once held within. The home you live in, the people in your life, the conditions you face, all were attracted by the vibration of your inner state. The moment you shift your feeling, your world begins to rearrange itself to match that new state. It may not happen instantly, but the law is exact and unchanging. Feeling always precedes form. The feeling of joy brings joyful experiences. The feeling of success attracts successful circumstances. You are always creating, whether consciously or unconsciously, because you are always feeling something. The question is not if you are manifesting, but what you are manifesting. To live deliberately, you must become aware of what you are feeling and guide it in the direction of your desired outcome. Choose to feel the reality of your wish fulfilled, to dwell in the emotional atmosphere of your desired state, and allow that feeling to solidify into fact. The outer world mirrors your inner assumptions. Everything you encounter, every person you meet, every circumstance that unfolds before you is nothing but a reflection of your own inner state. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. The world is a mirror, faithfully echoing the beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you hold within. If you assume lack, you will find evidence of lack everywhere you look. If you assume abundance, the same world that once seemed empty will reveal its hidden riches. What you see outside is only the shadow of what you have accepted as true on the inside. Your assumptions form the lens through which you interpret reality. Two people can live in the same world, yet inhabit entirely different realities because each perceives through the filter of their inner beliefs. One sees opportunity, while the other sees struggle. One feels loved, while the other feels rejected. The difference is not in the outer world. It lies entirely in what each has assumed to be true about themselves and life. The moment you shift your assumption, your perception changes, and so does your experience. You cannot attract anything that contradicts the state of consciousness you occupy, for the outer must conform to the inner pattern. When you assume a new concept of yourself, the world must rearrange itself to reflect that change. It is not magic, it is law. The law of assumption declares that what you assume and persist in will harden into fact. Therefore, if you wish to change the world around you, you must begin by altering the world within you. Stop trying to force external change and start cultivating new inner convictions. Assume you are already the person you wish to become. Feel it, believe it, live from it, and soon the reflection will follow. You do not have to struggle against appearances. Appearances are only the outpicturing of your past assumptions. If you persist in a new state long enough, appearances must yield to the power of your sustained inner belief. Your outer conditions are obedient servants, not masters. They have no life of their own except the life you give them through your attention and assumption. When you turn within and claim the truth of your desired reality, the mirror of life must respond in kind. Every event and experience in your life carries a hidden message about your inner state. When something unwanted shows up, instead of resisting it, observe it as a reflection of what you have been assuming. Ask yourself, what must I be believing to see this? Then consciously assume the opposite. The world will always echo your dominant feeling and conviction. Change the assumption and you change the reflection. Your outer world is the grand mirror of your inner life, revealing not what you wish for, but what you have accepted as true in the silence of your imagination. Wishes become facts when felt as real. Every dream, every desire, every longing within you waits only for one thing, to be felt as though it were already true. The universe does not respond to idle wishes or passing hopes. It responds to the conviction of feeling. When a wish moves from being something you merely think about to something you emotionally embody, it begins to take shape in your reality. Feeling is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. It transforms an invisible desire into a tangible fact by aligning your inner vibration with the frequency of what you seek. A wish that is only thought of remains distant, like a picture you admire but never touch. But once you feel it, once you live in the emotional reality of it being already accomplished, you invite it into being. Feeling creates a magnetic pull between you and your desire. You stop chasing and start attracting. You no longer wonder if it will happen. You know it already has in the unseen realm. This inner knowing, this emotional certainty, is what causes life to rearrange itself in ways you could never plan or predict. The external world bends to the strength of your inner conviction. To feel something as real is to inhabit it now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment. It means to close the gap between the dream and the door. You imagine yourself already possessing what you desire, and your feelings confirm it as true. Your body relaxes into it, your mind aligns with it, and your actions naturally flow from it. It is not about forcing or pretending. It is about becoming emotionally one with your desired reality. The more natural that feeling becomes, the faster it solidifies into fact. Life mirrors your inner assumption of reality. When you feel a thing as real, you plant the seed of its existence in the subconscious mind. That seed, nurtured through faith and persistence, grows into the world of facts and experiences. Everything that has ever come into your life did so, because at some point you felt it into being, whether consciously or unconsciously. Feelings are creative commands that shape the unseen substance of life into form. When you make your wish and hold it only in thought, it drifts like smoke. But when you breathe feeling into it, when you sense its reality in your heart and live from that state, it condenses into matter. You become aligned with the version of yourself who already lives the life you desire. From that state, action becomes effortless, opportunities appear, and circumstances shift to match your inner feeling. Wishes stop being distant hopes and begin to take on the weight of reality. For whatever is felt deeply and consistently cannot remain unseen for long. Emotion is energy that crystallizes into reality. Every thought you think is charged with a vibration, and that vibration is molded by the emotion you attach to it. Emotion gives life to thought, turning it from a fleeting image into a creative force that shapes your world. What you feel deeply and persistently holds the power to manifest itself in form, because emotion is the language through which energy communicates with the universe. You do not attract what you merely want, you attract what you consistently feel. The stronger the emotion, the faster it solidifies into physical expression. Every emotion you carry is like a signal broadcast into the field of creation. Joy, gratitude, love, and confidence send high-frequency waves that magnetize experiences of the same nature, while fear, doubt, and resentment draw to you the conditions that match their tone. The universe is impartial. It simply reflects back the energy you radiate. When emotion becomes habitual, it sets the foundation for your life circumstances. This is why certain patterns repeat again and again. They are the crystallized expressions of emotional energy you have not yet shifted. Your outer reality is the condensation of your inner emotional state. Just as water turns to ice when its vibration slows, your emotions solidify into the facts and events of your life. You may call it coincidence, fate, or destiny, but it is the result of energy taking form under the influence of sustained emotion. To change your world, you must first change the emotional energy you project. When you deliberately cultivate emotions aligned with your desires, you begin to reshape the invisible substance from which your experiences are formed. Emotion is the true creative force behind every manifestation. It gives direction to your focus and power to your imagination. A thought without emotion is lifeless, but a thought infused with feeling becomes a living command to the universe. When you feel something intensely, your subconscious mind accepts it as real, and reality reorganizes itself to mirror that inner state. Emotion fuels belief, and belief creates experience. It is through feeling that you impress the energy of your desire upon the fabric of life. This is why gratitude and love are so transformative. They elevate your vibration and align your energy with abundance and harmony. When you dwell in these emotions, you become a magnet for experiences that match their frequency. Likewise, when you indulge in fear or anger, you magnetize experiences that reinforce those emotions. Energy always seeks coherence, and emotion is the sculptor shaping that coherence into visible form. Everything you see, touch, and experience began as an emotional vibration within someone's consciousness. The invisible energy of feeling eventually condenses into matter, turning unseen waves into solid facts. And in every moment, you hold the power to choose the emotional energy that defines your reality. Think from the end, not of the end. The difference between these two states is the difference between creation and desire, between fulfillment and longing. To think of the end is to imagine your desire as something distant, something yet to come, something you hope might happen. It keeps you in a state of separation, reinforcing the idea that what you seek is not yet yours. But to think from the end is to place yourself mentally and emotionally in the position of already having what you desire. It is to feel and act as though the wish is fulfilled, as though the goal is complete, as though you are already living the result you once sought. When you think from the end, you occupy the state of your accomplished desire. You begin to think, speak, and behave in alignment with that version of yourself. Your vibration shifts instantly, for you are no longer reaching outward. You are living inwardly from the place of realization. The mind cannot distinguish between what is vividly imagined and what is physically experienced. When you consistently dwell in the assumption that your desire is already a fact, the subconscious mind accepts it as truth, and the outer world reshapes itself to reflect that inner conviction. Most people live thinking of what they want. They dream, they hope, they plan, but they never truly feel the satisfaction of completion within themselves. They look to the future and see distance instead of presence. They reinforce lack by imagining what they do not yet have. To think of the end is to declare unconsciously, "It is not here." That declaration keeps it away. But the moment you shift to thinking from the end, you collapse the distance between desire and fulfillment. You become the embodiment of the thing you seek, and creation begins to unfold naturally from that inner state. Thinking from the end means you live in the mental and emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire. If you seek love, you must feel loved. If you seek abundance, you must feel abundant. If you seek success, you must feel successful. You do not wait for outer confirmation. You generate the inner feeling first. That feeling becomes the magnetic force that draws the corresponding circumstances to you. Reality has no choice but to mirror the consciousness you persistently occupy. When you think from the end, you assume the identity of your desire already realized. You no longer wonder how it will happen, for the how belongs to the unseen intelligence that governs all creation. Your task is simply to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The outer world, though it may not shift immediately, begins to rearrange itself in subtle ways. People, events, and opportunities move into place to align with your inner assumption. To think from the end is to live in faith, to act as though the unseen is already seen, and to make the invisible real through the power of inner conviction. Persist in your assumption until it feels natural. The moment you form a new assumption about yourself or your life, you begin the process of creation. Yet at first, this new state may feel unfamiliar, even unrealistic, because it contradicts the old patterns you have lived by for so long. The mind resists change not because it is impossible, but because it clings to what feels known. Persistence is the bridge between the imagined and the experienced. By persisting in your assumption, by continuing to feel it real despite appearances, you train your consciousness to accept the new reality as natural, and once it feels natural, it must express itself in the world around you. Every transformation begins with an inner decision. You decide who you wish to be and what you wish to experience, and then you assume that state in imagination. But the first attempts to dwell in that assumption often feel forced, as though you are pretending. This is where persistence becomes essential. You must hold the vision long enough for it to become familiar. Repeat the feeling often enough for it to become effortless. What once felt unnatural will soon feel obvious, and when it does, manifestation follows. The subconscious mind accepts what is natural, and it rejects what feels foreign. Therefore, your goal is not to force belief, but to nurture familiarity through persistence. The outer world may show no sign of change at first. You may even face contradictions that seem to prove your assumption false. Yet these appearances are only reflections of your previous state of consciousness. The new assumption is taking root beneath the surface, and your persistence is the water that nourishes it. When you persist in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, regardless of temporary evidence, you signal to life that you are unmoved by illusion. You are no longer reacting to circumstances. You are creating them from within. Persistence is not effort or struggle. It is quiet faith sustained over time. It is choosing again and again to return to your inner conviction, even when doubt whispers that nothing is happening. Each time you reaffirm your assumption, you strengthen its power. Each time you refuse to return to the old story, you weaken its hold. Slowly, your inner state stabilizes in the new feeling, and reality must conform to it. The moment the new assumption feels as natural as breathing, the world mirrors it effortlessly. To persist in your assumption is to remain loyal to your vision. It is to refuse to be swayed by appearances, and to live inwardly from the end, until that end becomes the only truth you know. You become one with the feeling of your desire already fulfilled, and as that feeling settles into your being, The unseen forces of life organize themselves to bring your assumption into visible form. You cannot experience what you are not conscious of being. Every experience in life is drawn to you by the vibration of your own consciousness. You are surrounded not by a world of random events, but by a reflection of what you believe yourself to be. Consciousness is the only reality, and everything you encounter, every person, every opportunity, every obstacle, mirrors your inner state. If you are not aware of being something, you cannot live it, no matter how much you wish for it. The outer world can only show you what you are conscious of possessing within yourself. To be conscious of being means to identify with a state, to feel yourself one with it. If you are conscious of lack, life will express lack through your circumstances. If you are conscious of love, life will show you relationships and experiences that echo love. You may pray for wealth, but if your inner conversation is one of poverty, that is the only reality available to you. The world outside can offer only what your inner awareness allows. Every change you seek must begin with a shift in consciousness. When you alter what you are aware of being, the entire world rearranges itself to match your new self-concept. The truth is simple, but often overlooked deep. You can only experience what you are. If you wish to experience success, you must first become conscious of being successful. If you wish to experience peace, you must first dwell in the awareness of peace. This is not pretending or wishing. It is the deliberate assumption of a new identity. The moment you feel yourself to be something different, you begin to attract conditions that confirm that inner change. The subconscious mind accepts the belief you hold most deeply, and the outer world becomes the shadow of that belief. Every state of consciousness has its own set of experiences attached to it. When you move from one state to another, you step into a new dimension of reality. It is like tuning a radio. The station you hear depends on the frequency you are aligned with. You cannot tune to a station of joy while vibrating at the frequency of fear. You must rise to the level of what you wish to experience. That rise is not an external climb, but an internal shift in awareness, a decision to claim a new state of being as your own. Your consciousness is the cause of every event in your life. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are the projector of them. When you change what you are conscious of being, you change the movie playing on the screen of space. To live consciously is to take responsibility for your inner state, to know that you are the only one who can decide what you are aware of being, and to realize that the world can only echo that awareness back to you. Change begins within, never without. The outer world is nothing more than a mirror reflecting the inner world of thought, feeling, and belief. Every circumstance, relationship, and experience you encounter is shaped by the consciousness you carry within yourself. People often try to rearrange the outer conditions of life, working harder, forcing outcomes, or seeking validation from others. Yet they find that the same patterns return again and again. This is because the cause of every experience lies not outside but inside. True transformation begins the moment you realize that the source of your reality is your own inner state. When you change your inner perception, the outer world responds automatically. It is a law of life that cannot be broken. Your thoughts create the blueprint, your emotions give it energy, and your assumptions give it form. Trying to change the world without first changing yourself is like trying to alter your reflection without adjusting the face in the mirror. The reflection will not move until the original changes. Once you shift your inner attitude, the world has no choice but to rearrange itself in alignment with your new consciousness. Every problem you face can be traced back to an inner cause. If you feel lack, it is not the absence of resources, but the presence of a belief in limitation. If you experience conflict, it is not the fault of another person, but the projection of your own inner discord. The power to change lies in your ability to recognize these inner patterns and replace them with new, life-affirming states of mind. As you cultivate harmony within, harmony begins to unfold in your environment. The peace you feel inwardly manifests as peaceful experiences outwardly. Many seek external validation to feel secure, but lasting change does not come from what others give or take away. It comes from the awareness that you are the source of all you experience. The outer world bends to the power of inner conviction. When you assume the feeling of your desired state and persist in it, circumstances, people, and events align themselves to reflect that inner change. The process is silent yet powerful, invisible yet undeniable. The moment you shift your inner focus, the outer world begins its silent transformation. Change that begins within is permanent because it arises from consciousness itself. You no longer depend on external conditions to dictate your happiness or peace. You understand that the external is only the shadow of the internal. The key to mastery is to turn inward whenever the outer world seems chaotic, to find stability and clarity within your own awareness. Once that change is made, the external world must follow. Life has no choice but to reflect what you have become conscious of being, and every new reality begins with a single inner shift. Feeling abundance attracts abundance. Abundance is not something that exists outside of you. It is first a state of consciousness, a feeling that must be cultivated within before it can appear in your life. The world does not give what you think you need. It reflects what you already feel. If your mind and heart are immersed in a sense of lack, scarcity, or limitation, that is precisely the reality you will experience. Conversely, when you dwell in the feeling of abundance, when you truly sense the richness of life flowing through you, you create a magnetic field that draws opportunities, resources, and experiences that match that feeling. Abundance is not merely money or material possessions. It is the sense of fullness, of satisfaction, of limitless possibility in every aspect of life. You can feel abundant in health, in relationships, in creativity, and in joy, and each of these feelings acts as a seed that will eventually grow into physical expression. The moment you align your inner state with abundance, the universe responds. Opportunities appear, doors open, and circumstances shift to mirror the richness that already exists in your consciousness. The outer world cannot resist the pull of the inner state. The key is not to chase abundance through effort or external struggle, but to embody it from within. You must first imagine and feel yourself living the life of abundance. Picture it, sense it. Allow yourself to experience the emotions that come with it as though it is already true. This feeling becomes a signal to the subconscious mind, which then begins to shape your reality in alignment with the inner state. What you feel deeply and consistently is what life must manifest. The world cannot contradict the state of your inner consciousness. Many people seek abundance through calculation, planning, or striving, but these actions alone are powerless if they are not supported by the inner feeling of fullness. Effort without feeling is like planting seeds in barren soil. Nothing will grow. But when your mind and heart dwell in abundance, your actions naturally flow from that state, guided by confidence and clarity. You begin to make decisions that reflect the abundance you feel, and the world provides the evidence to match. Feeling abundance is also about gratitude, about recognizing and celebrating the richness already present in your life. The simple act of feeling thankful for what you have multiplies the sense of plenty, creating space for more to enter. When you cultivate an internal environment of abundance, you set the stage for the outer world to mirror it. Your consciousness becomes a magnet, attracting experiences, people, and opportunities that harmonize with the energy you radiate. In this way, abundance grows not from outside circumstances, but from the consistent feeling you nurture within yourself. And life responds to the state of your heart and mind with perfect fidelity. What you feel, you inevitably live. Every emotion you entertain within yourself is a creative force shaping the circumstances of your life. Life does not respond to your wishes, your plans, or your thoughts alone. It responds to the dominant feelings that you hold as real. Your inner emotional state is the lens through which reality is filtered, and whatever you dwell in emotionally will manifest outwardly. If you feel fear, lack, or limitation, the world will reflect those feelings back to you in exact proportion. If you feel joy, abundance, and confidence, life will naturally align to mirror that inner reality. The feelings you carry are far more powerful than the fleeting thoughts that pass through your mind. Thoughts without feeling are like seeds scattered on barren ground. They rarely take root. Feeling is energy, and energy moves to create form. When you consistently feel a particular state as true, you impress it upon your subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind being obedient and impartial, begins to produce circumstances that correspond to that inner reality. This is why your emotional life is the foundation of all experiences. The outer world cannot contradict the reality you feel inside. It is not enough to merely imagine a desired outcome or to hope that life will change. The imagination becomes effective only when it is suffused with feeling. When you feel a situation as already fulfilled, when your heart and senses live in the state of the wish realized, you are no longer a passive observer. You are a creator. The outer world responds with perfect fidelity to the state you maintain within. Every relationship, every opportunity, every challenge, and every success is a reflection of the emotional assumptions you hold as true. To live deliberately, you must become aware of the emotional tone you are sustaining. Are you feeling anxious about the future or confident in the realization of your desire? Are you dwelling in scarcity or sensing the flow of abundance? The moment you recognize that your current circumstances are the product of your feelings, you gain the power to change them. By altering your inner state and persistently feeling the reality of what you desire, you set in motion the unseen forces that will arrange your life in perfect correspondence with that state. Feeling is not temporary. It is the creative seed from which life grows. The world outside cannot provide you with an experience that contradicts the reality you feel inside. When you feel love, joy, peace, or success, those qualities manifest as tangible experiences. Conversely, when you feel fear, doubt, or limitation, the world reflects that condition back to you. What you feel becomes the lens through which you interpret every event, and ultimately, it becomes the very life you live. Therefore, mastery is found in the conscious cultivation of feeling, in the deliberate choice to inhabit the state of your desire, and in the unwavering awareness that your lived experience is always the outcome of what you feel.